So today we're going to share with you how Joseph lost over 55 pounds. At some point, he lost 60 pounds in less than 5 months. Plus, we are donating up to $1,000 to St. Jude's. So for each comment you leave, we will be donating $10. And for each share that this video receives, we will be donating $25 with no limits to the amount of comments or shares any individual person can leave. Again, up to $1,000. So with that said, Joseph, welcome. How are we doing today, my man?
Thank you. Feeling never better.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. So why don't we get started like this? Why don't you share with everyone a bit more about who you are, give everyone a little bit of context, and then also share a little bit more about the connection with St. Jude's.
Sure. So, I grew up in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn my whole life. Went to Xaverian High School. From there, went to St. Francis. Grounded deeply in my faith in my neighborhood. And just essentially now work in debt settlement in a remote environment. With St. Jude's, it was a good charity here because we did a lot of fundraising here through those schools with St. Jude's, as well as it's a charity that's really near and dear to my family, very near and dear to my grandmother who passed away last year. And I've just given back to that charity my entire life, as well as my family. They essentially help and give medical support to children who are a lot less fortunate, and help them live sustainable lives given their disabilities.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry to hear about your grandma, and thank you for bringing that to my attention in regards to this charity. And so with that said, let's begin to talk a bit more about your journey and where were you before the Fit Body program, mentally, emotionally, and physically?
Yeah. My highest weight was 323 pounds. Struggled with weight my entire life. The problem was, and I always said and used it as an excuse, I always said I wore it well. And coming back to the realization and seeing how much I lost and what I look like now and fitting back into the clothes that I used to wear, that was just like a crazy excuse. I feel stupid. The fact is, I'm 25. Back when I was in college, being, 20, 21, 22, going up the stairs at Court Street, I was out of breath. And you shouldn't be out of breath for a 22-year-old. You go for a physical, they say, hey, your cholesterol's too high. You come back a year later and it's higher or at this fire, we got to put you on some medication. You're 22 years old. You don't want to go on medication for cholesterol. Kind of a wake-up call. Just doing the everyday things, feeling tired throughout the day, affecting my relationships with my friends and family who either wanted to do activities or be in my life. And it was affecting my self-confidence. I didn't want to leave the house. And so with that, I went on a cruise the week before I started the program. I said, this is going to be my last hoorah. And then when I get home, I'm going to be smart about it and do something about it because I hate feeling this way. I hate going to the beach and feeling, insecure. I hated having to go buy new clothes every 2 months because I couldn't fit in my old ones and I didn't want to throw them out. So it was a challenge. Really affected my relationships with my friends and family and affected my self-confidence.
Yeah. And I would imagine now you have to buy new clothes, but in the opposite direction.
It's a good problem to have.
So now you're happy with the same problem.
Yeah.
And Joe, what did you try before in the past that didn't work?
Oh man. Keto. I mean, listen, I know people who've done keto and it's great. I've seen people drop crazy weight. It's just way too strict. And I can't, it wasn't built for me. I was miserable. I was probably even more miserable doing that. I did that for about 2 weeks. I've gone to gyms by myself. I ran on the elliptical for maybe 15 minutes with my headphones in. And I don't know. I said, what am I doing? Like I'm not feeling any progress. Like I'm just kind of wasting my time. I'm wasting my money. And that never really worked for me. And I kind of said, these things are fads, everything they say about it, it's true. Those types of things get bad reps. And you kind of I was the type of person who needed direction. Other people don't really seem to need the direction because they're educated. That's good for them. But I wasn't educated at the time. I didn't know how eating worked, eating right worked. I didn't know how working out correctly was. And so with that, I kept saying, this is just a waste of time. I could always start it any day. And it just never worked for me. And I wasn't strong-willed enough to do something like keto, which I personally think is extreme, but I know it has worked for some people, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah. And with that said, what do you think's been different about this program than anything you've ever tried before in the past?
Definitely the accountability. But again, I would say it's not so much as us being accountable to you guys. It's about being accountable to yourself. Because like I said, when you have to go and do a 45-minute workout, and I'm the type of person who doesn't like to go to the gym at 5 o'clock because it's crowded. So I go at 7 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And with that, you kind of build up your responsibility to yourself. You wake up at 7 and you say, man, I'm feeling really tired. I don't want to go. But you're not going to go later, and just not going is not an option. So you got to kind of will yourself to get up and do it. Same thing with eating. In order to eat right, you got to go to the grocery store and spend some money. You got to go and do what you got to do in order to be accountable to yourself. And I think I've gotten into a routine where I wake up and do these things. And when I leave the gym and I leave the grocery store, I feel great. And I say, you know what? I'm glad I went today. And it's not easy, but I look forward to it. I have the hang of things. And I just feel like I'm in a really good place with myself right now. But definitely the accountability.
That's awesome, man. And with that said, what do you feel like? Obviously, you didn't start off working out at the gym. So could you actually share a bit more about how that transition was from going from an at-home workout 3 times a week to then transitioning to equipment, then to the gym?
Yeah, it was scary. Going from a half hour on the bike to a different day is a different portion of your body that you're working out was a massive change, but a welcome one, because you want your body to feel whole. And the fact that you could still incorporate doing 15 minutes on the bike at the end is still good. But it was definitely a challenge, because, again, I was never the one to really know about the anatomy of the body, how things worked, how calories work, let alone how different machines at the gym worked. It was scary, but I watched the videos, I did research, and I got to a point where, yeah, I know where I could push myself and keep increasing the weight of the machines to better myself. And it's a great feeling. You're not pushing yourself just mentally, but it's physically. And it's just a great feeling.
Yeah. And can you talk a bit about like the newfound confidence that you've gained from this and how that's now been positively impacting other areas of your life as well?
100%.
Yep.
I was in a remote environment since COVID. And that just made things worse. Going to Cortland, I used to commute, but then March 2020 happened. Those steps at Cortland were big, and I would have to walk down to Maiden Lane, and I was just exhausted. And then, like I said, with COVID, I was just kind of doing takeout every day, not getting out of the house like everyone else was. And that really put a wrench in my productivity, because I would be wanting to take a nap at 2 p.m. Even on days off, I'd wanted to take a nap. And like I was talking about before, just the relationships with my friends and family who wanted to go do things with me. I just wasn't up for it. I was too tired. I wasn't physically able to do it. Now I don't have that restlessness that I used to. Since doing the program, it's definitely impacted my work in a positive way. I'm not nearly as tired as I was way back, when COVID hit. I'm just the level of productivity and the increase in my relationships with the people that matter to me. That just says it all, how worth it was. Because like I said, it really impacted my ability to work, just being exhausted from 2 p.m. to 5 and not wanting to do anything, even on my days off.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%, man. I feel like we don't begin, like you were saying earlier, you don't realize like how much of an impact these things have until you have the contrast of the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even to wear like your old clothes, like
Yeah,
I haven't worn this shirt since like 2020, like before COVID.
that's
Um,
awesome.
and I would say I don't want to talk a little too much about COVID, but that really was a low point for me. Like I said, just sitting here playing video games, ordering Wendy's every day, not only, put myself at a calorie disadvantage, but I wasn't walking, I wasn't working out, certainly. I wasn't even leaving the house. You couldn't leave the house. And that was just like a really low point. I think that's kind of where just it snowballed out of control.
Yeah, and with that said, obviously you mentioned needing the direction. What made you feel like you needed a coach in your corner at that specific moment in time, like back in July when we first started?
Yeah,
Like,
like I said,
place
I
you're
don't know
at.
if you knew this. Week before, I just came back from a cruise.
Yeah.
And on a cruise, you could eat and drink until you're silly, unlimited. And even to do like we went to the beach. It was a tropical, climate, and I was exhausted. We were just sitting on the beach, and just profusely sweating and exhausting. And that in that moment, I said, I really need to do something about this. And and so the reason why I came to the program, like I was just saying before, you could put me in a gym. You could put me in the best gym in the world with the best machinery and different, uh, different machines and software, and I wouldn't know what to do with that information. As well as I'm really not educated about food. I didn't know carbs were your friend. You said, have an English muffin every morning for breakfast. I didn't know you could do that. I always thought carbs were the enemy, you know? And it just really wasn't about being educated. Um, that was really it for me. I mean, now I know how to use the machines. I know to increase the weight. I know my limits to push myself. I know my body more than ever now. And I know exactly what to buy at the grocery store. I know how to take measurements of food now, which is something I never even thought of doing 6 months ago. It's a no-brainer, and I needed that guidance. It's something that I didn't have my whole life, really.
Yeah. And dude, I can even tell in your voice, there's such a transformation. It's so cool to see. It really is. I
Yeah,
feel like
thank
I'm
you.
talking to a completely different person than like back
You
in
definitely are. Yeah, you definitely are.
mid-July. Yeah. That's so cool, man. And um, I'm at to that point. Like, what made you make the leap to join the program? Who was kind of your inspiration? Obviously, we're both varying guys. Was there anyone that you saw like a transformation of, and you're like, you know what, this is the program for me?
Yeah, certainly Deacon Mac. He's always been like an inspiration throughout high school. Just a mountain of a person and an amazing person. Also Rob Oliva from St. Francis. I went to St. Francis, and seeing those two gentlemen just completely transform their lives was really inspirational to me. Two men that I dearly look up to, as well as other people that are in the program and that do it. But what I want to say mostly about the program is I love the community of people that I was always used to in every aspect of my life, whether it be Severian, St. Francis. I feel more comfortable in that community because it is something that I'm used to, that I was growing up my entire life, even being here in my neighborhood community. So definitely those two guys, though, specifically seeing the progress that they had, even keeping the weight off, just knowing how to do it is truly inspirational.
Yeah, I had my mentor tell me this past week. He was talking to us about maintenance and in the sense of our coaching practice, and he was saying even maintenance is progress. So many of us like we're yo-yo with our weight loss, as an example, and keeping the weight off is a form of progress.
Yeah, and I would it's difficult to just keep going, and it's even difficult around the holidays too, because Thanksgiving you're going to eat a lot, but I'd personally like to share. I only had one helping. I was done. It's not because I wanted a second plate. I would have loved to have one, but my body physically could not accept another plate, which was awesome. I've never had that feeling before. I'm starting to learn more and more about my own body and my stomach that I never really had control of. And I feel like for a lot of people around the holidays, they do fall off because they do have that meal. They do miss what it's like. And then sometimes they do fall off, unfortunately.
Yeah, and with that said, what do you think was your like number one struggle that you were really coming up against before joining the program?
Beer. I was a big beer drinker. I don't drink beer anymore. It does nothing. I mean, I used to be able to drink 15 of them and not feel anything. A lot of carbs, fast food. Not only was that affecting my moods, my body, it was affecting my wallet. It's expensive every day. I didn't know how to cook. Now I do. I cook every day almost, you know. Mainly just eating fast food, going out drinking, and let's say it's a Friday night, you go out drinking, you have 15 beers throughout the day. You get home, it's 1 a.m. Hey, you want to go DoorDash McDonald's? Eat 2 Big Macs and large fries and 20 nuggets. It's like 3,000 calories right there on top of the 15 beers that you drank. That was my lifestyle, though. That was my lifestyle for the 25 years of my life. I was really big into fast food, never cooked. But now, like I said, I go to the grocery store. I know what to buy. I know what type of meat I buy. I know what carbs I eat, and I keep it under control. And like I said, I don't drink beer anymore. And again, I've never felt so alive in my life, truthfully.
Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing with alcohol is if you taper back on it now and reintroduce it at a much later time, you're not going to gain the weight back because alcohol simply stalls fat loss. It doesn't cause fat gain in absence of a calorie surplus. But what I would love to hear, dude, is how were you able to do these things where, you're waking up at 7, you're having this lifestyle change? Like, talk to me a bit about what you feel like contributed to helping you have this lifestyle change that you now have.
Definitely the weekly check-ins, just being educated really about myself, being educated about food, working out. I pay very close attention to those videos, making sure that I have the correct form at the gym. And in terms of just waking up and going to the gym, I mean, I'm the type of person that just wants to do it first thing in the morning, gets me up, ready for my day. It gets me active for my work day. It's only 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday. And for me, it's a good start to the day because I get up, go to the gym. I'm only there for 45 minutes. And then I go home and I don't have to worry about going the whole day. I could do whatever I want with the rest of my day. Whereas when I was just doing the bike, I would sleep, I'm a remote environment. So I'd sleep until 8, work. Then it's like, I got to go to the gym, hit rush hour traffic just to go to the gym at 5 p.m. Then it's crowded. Someone's using the machine I need to use. So that in terms of just going to the gym at 7, it's a no brainer for me. I mean, you have 24 hours in the day where 8 of those hours you should be sleeping. What are you going to do with the rest of your time? Sit on the couch, and again, with the program, it's just about being educated and being accountable to yourself. It's not easy. It's really not. And like I said, there were days where I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go. Didn't want to go to the grocery store. Didn't want to spend the money to buy what I needed to buy. But at the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. And you spent the money to do it. So that's, again, being accountable to yourself, being accountable to you guys as coaches, but also getting educated. And again, I'll say it again, give a shout out to all the guys in the program. It's a very good community. It's a beautiful community that's there for you, that will pick you up if you fall. And that to me gives comfort. And that's what I love about the program.
That's awesome. I mean, that almost answered, it answered my next question, which is, what was your favorite part about the program? But it seems like the community has been your favorite part about the program.
Yeah. And especially that, like that group chat, the Facebook group, just seeing different recipes guys are making, talking to people, just seeing who's doing what, working out at the gym, and even just sharing that they did a walk for 10 minutes, it's reassuring. It shows that you're not alone, which I did feel alone for a majority of my life, just going through this whole thing with my body. My relationship with food was an unhealthy one, no pun intended, but it's true. I couldn't tell you last time, July when I started was the last time I had fast food. I haven't had McDonald's. I haven't, DoorDash anything. The only thing I DoorDash is Nature's Grill if I'm feeling lazy, not to cook, It's just, it really is a beautiful thing. And, I'm saving money. That's another thing, it's expensive to do that every day. Like I was doing, But yeah, I would say just the community, seeing how different people are going about their journeys, because we're all kind of in the same boat, you know?
Yeah. Dude, 100%. Like we had our live event, our first one. I remember before I moved out here, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a live event every month. And then I had my first one. I'm like, maybe once a quarter.
Yeah.
But one thing I loved was bringing everyone together. And it's literally like my favorite part of the program too, is the community. So I feel like one thing I learned, I had an event back in April in Nashville, and a Navy SEAL was talking about this idea of support and community. And he's like, look at any area of your life, the area where you feel like you have a lot of support and the most support, chances are you're doing very well. And the area where you feel like you have little to no support and you feel alone, chances are you're struggling in that area. And sure enough, that was true for me. So I'm happy to hear that community was such a powerful tool for you to help facilitate these lifestyle changes that you ended up making. Dude, it's really cool to see. It really is. Just the transformation that happened. It's more than change. It's like it really is a transformation.
Yeah, and I think that my relationship with food truly is changed forever, you know? Can I guarantee I'll ever have a Big Mac ever in my life? Yeah, probably. I'm not going to be that extreme. But I'm not going to eat 2 or 3 of them, and they're certainly not going to be at 1 a.m., you know? Same goes for beer. Yeah, I'll probably have another beer in my life, but I'm not going to be going back to the days where every Friday and Saturday night I'm pounding 15 beers. It's just not sustainable. Yeah. And even if one day, you know, you fall off the wagon, you feel like crap. Not only physically, but mentally. You're like, what did I do? I got to get back on track. You know?
Yeah. I mean, one thing it almost sounds counterintuitive, but someone hearing this, excuse me, might be saying to themselves, oh, there's no way I can cut out drinking and blah, blah, blah. But it almost sounds counterintuitive, but going this far to the other end of the spectrum where you're learning what it really takes to be like super healthy in every area, it helps you kind of balance back afterwards. So
yeah,
you definitely have the right mindset around it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of when I was doing my physique competition, like getting so lean. Now it's like super easy. Like it sounds crazy to maintain like 10, 12% body fat after being at like 5, 6% body fat.
Yeah. It's almost like a culture shock, you know, to your body. Definitely wasn't easy for me beginning, but once you get yourself in a routine, I have the same meal for breakfast every single day at the same time. I go to the gym, I come home, I go right to breakfast. 3 eggs with an English muffin, baby spinach, and guac. That's it. Every single day, 7 days a week. And I don't get tired of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I feel like that consistency also produces like this amazing result. It's just that consistency compounds over time.
Well, that's another thing too, is that I never ate breakfast my entire life. I wasn't a breakfast guy, didn't like breakfast foods. I thought it was kind of like a waste of time and money. And now eating breakfast, you know, going throughout the day, I'm not as hungry throughout the day. And I am eating, you had me on a 2,700 calorie limit. That's crazy to me. I can't eat that much. I rarely hit that limit. I have a lot of trouble trying to eat that much, but I still have 3 meals a day, my snacks, my bananas, my yogurt, and that breakfast. Breakfast has become my favorite meal of the day, truthfully.
I mean, it sounds awesome. English muffin, guac.
Yeah, it's a lot of food.
It is a lot of food. You know what? Can you talk about that? A lot of people they're worried that they're going to feel hungry. And could you share how you've been feeling on the nutrition plan that we gave to you?
Yeah, I never go to bed hungry. I never even have the urge to just say, man, I really wish I had a double cheeseburger right now. Or man, wish I could go for a slice of pizza right now. It's like you wake up, you have your breakfast, boom, 1 o'clock. You have a snack. Maybe you have another snack, yogurt, banana. Then it's lunchtime. I find that lunch is probably the most difficult meal to prepare, only because you have to cook kind of in bulk the night before, which is what I do. Sometimes, like I said, I'll like order Nature's Grill, get like a chicken protein bowl with some rice. And then dinner would just be like, I usually do chopped meat burgers, a steak, regular chicken, maybe some more rice. And I drink probably like 8 or 9 bottles of water a day. And I'm stuffed throughout the whole day, and it's certainly not 2,700 calories. I have trouble reaching really 2,000 calories. It's very hard for me to eat more than I'm doing. And for the weekends, typically it's the same thing. You're just going out. I go to dinner often. You know, I know a lot of people, and people want to always go out to dinner, and it is more challenging because you don't know what they're cooking with and whatnot. But generally, you can't go wrong with just a lean cut of meat, whether it's a chicken, a salad, a steak. I love steak and fish. I love fish. And so it, like I said, for me though, lunch is definitely the hardest meal to prepare for. I would say I order out more for lunch from Nature's Grill than I do preparing because it's just so hard to prepare. But yeah, I go to bed never with any of those cravings.
That's awesome, man. And with that, also, Joe, obviously you've like had this tremendous transformation so far, and we still have some ways to go as well. What would you say to someone that might be on the fence, because this was an investment, right?
Yeah.
And you're not like a 40, 50-year-old guy that has years of savings, like you're 25, right? So
Yep.
like, what I would love to hear from you, what helped you make an investment like this into yourself?
Like I said, I'll take you back to that moment. I went on vacation in July, the week before we met for the first time. I go to the beach in Bermuda. It's the middle of July. It's hot. When you're just sitting there, not doing any activity, and you're just laying on the beach, but you're out of breath, it was kind of a wake-up call to me. To the point where I had to say, guys, I'm going back to the ship. I'm going to go take a nap in the air conditioning. It's terrible. Your body kind of catches up with you. And in that moment, I was 320 pounds, 323 pounds at 24 years old then. It's not good when your doctor says, yeah, next time you come in for your physical, these, levels are at the same numbers. You got to go on medication. That's a wake-up call. You're 25. Why are you going on cholesterol medication? And that is what I was just trying to avoid. That was really the wake-up call. Just not being able to do everyday things, being grounded inside your home, not getting a lot of physical activity, and even doing the remedial things, just walking up the block, going up a set of stairs. Like I said, at Cortlandt Street, at Court Street, it was exhausting for me, especially in the summer. I used to love summer. I love summer. I still love summer. I love warm weather. I hate the cold weather. But because I was 320 pounds, it really caught up with me. And to the point where even just walking in a linear straight line, it was very hard to do because I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. And now it's winter, but I have so much more energy and feel a lot more lighter on my feet than I did back when I was over 300 pounds. Even getting below 300, even going to 299 was just a major accomplishment in my eyes. Because now my ultimate goal is not to get to be medically obese, as medically termed obese with your BMI for my height. That's the real goal for me. And obviously it takes time. It's going to take probably a few years. But I feel like if I continue on the track that I am, I can get there. You only get one life and you can't waste it.
You know what's interesting is, excuse me, I can usually tell how healthy someone's going to be based on the amount of time, based on the timeline in which they speak of. Like you said, it's probably going to take a few years. Like I can tell someone that's going to be healthy long term based on the like somebody else might have said it might take a few months. You're thinking so long term, and because you're thinking long term, counterintuitively, that's why you're having success quote unquote short term as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's amazing that in 5 months I was able to at one point lose 60 pounds, high 50s, 60 pounds. I didn't expect to lose that much. My ultimate goal, be under 300, and obviously that was going to happen. But to just keep going, and then every week you never know. Every Friday you never know where you're going to be. Am I going to be under 260? Am I going to be under 270, 280? And that was exciting for me. And I know throughout the week how I was feeling. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the week where I'm going to be under 280. Now I'm under 270. Now I'm 260. And it's just going to keep going and going and going, where now you're on the better side of 200 and not on the higher side of 200, which is just an amazing feeling. And it's also about just being a realist too. You're not going to, become a bodybuilder at 300 pounds in a year. It's not going to happen. So you have to have realistic expectations. You have to have a realistic sense of time, but you also have to be accountable to yourself. You have to make the time to yourself. You have to make the investment, because it's not just saying about the program. You have to invest into a gym membership. You have to invest into going to the grocery store, which is not cheap. And I go to the grocery store weekly. I should buy more in bulk. I just choose not to. But I do go once a week to the grocery store, where I
I
spend
remember when
over
we
100
first.
bucks.
I remember. I was just gonna say. I remember when we first started. I was in California when you signed up for the program, and you texted me. You're like, Ursulan, the bill came out to the exact amount that it
The
said
penny.
for
I sent you the receipt.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I sent Joe a grocery list, and he's like, it came out perfectly to this amount.
Yeah, I bought everything on that list.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of that stuff now. And like I said, I go once a week. It's not cheap. I think it's like $129. But yeah, I mean, and again, choosing to get up every day, that's your choice. You know, some people like going at night, and that's fine as long as you go, you know. But I work. I can't go in the middle of the day, and I don't like going when it's crowded, which is after work.
Yeah.
So when I go at 7 a.m., I have the gym practically to myself. There's other people there. I don't got to wait around for machines, and I just go with the flow. And I've been doing that. I've been on that regimen for about maybe a month and a half now, I would say, and it's great. And it's something that I will sustain even after the program.
100%. And I feel like, even though, like, just going back to the grocery, even though like your bill does come out to 129, it does sound like you're saving money based on your previous lifestyle that you had.
100%. DoorDash ain't cheap with all the fees that they put on. At one point, I paid for their premium membership to save on the fees at my heaviest, which was probably like right before the cruise in July of this year. And it's not cheap. I was door dashing every meal. And again, what was great about this program is it taught me how to cook. You know, I never cook. I grill now, which is something that I never did. And it's just an amazing feeling, you know, meal prepping and just waking up saying, okay, I don't have to spend any money today. You know, breakfast, I have my eggs, my English muffins, my spinach, my avocado. Oh, I have the 2 burgers that I made from last night from the chop meat. And then let me see what's in the freezer and take out to defrost for dinner. There you go. Those are your meals. I'm going to have a banana and a Greek yogurt throughout the day, maybe 2 or 3. You know, I don't spend any money on food now unless I have to go to the grocery store or if I'm going out to dinner. Or like I said, if I'm just feeling slightly lazy and I just want to DoorDash Nature's Grill, which is great.
That's awesome. Well, I don't think you're a premium member anymore based on our discussion. So that's good.
No way.
That's moving in the right direction. And Joe, I feel like anytime you make an investment like this or do something you've never done before, I would imagine you've never hired a coach before, like never. In this capacity. So I would imagine that there's some sort of a underlying fear that you have to overcome in order to make that leap. What was the biggest fear or reservation that you had to overcome in order to make the leap?
Thinking about, am I going to sustain this lifestyle? Am I going to have a heart attack like in my 20s? That was a big, I'll tell you, I'll share this. Before like this year, like pre-July 2022, I used to get sharp chest pains. I don't know if it was heartburn. I don't know what it was, but it could have been anxiety. I don't know. But when I would breathe in, it was tough to breathe sometimes. Am I having a mild heart attack? I don't know. I don't have those chest pains anymore. And again, I haven't gone for my physical yet, but I would assume that my cholesterol levels have lowered. I was also kind of just saying, like the doctor, like, you know, you're going to have to go on a statin at 25. That's crazy to me, you know, and just being above 300 pounds. And it was really affecting my moods, my relationships with people that are close to me, my family, my friends, having to go buy new clothes every single month. That was the main factor, but just health, just being healthy. Like I had a constant fear of having a heart attack in my 20s, maybe not 25, but 28, 29, 30. If my lifestyle had continued the way it was, going out every weekend, drinking beer, eating McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, fast food, not making any effort to better myself or eat healthy. A lot of fries and mashed potatoes. It was an unsustainable lifestyle that I'm fearful of as to where it could have gone. It could have gotten lethal. That's a real fear of mine.
Yeah, man. Excuse me. I feel like more and more you hear about like someone that is young and these things happen. So it is a legitimate fear. And what would you say to anyone that is on the fence about deciding to make this lifestyle change and to invest into a coaching program like this? What would you say to someone that might be on the fence about that?
Yeah, I would say be ready. You have to be just as much as accountable to the coaches, you guys. You have to be accountable to yourself and be a strong-willed person. It is an investment. Like I said, just not even for the program, but like I was saying, you have to invest into the gym membership. You have to at least make, I would say, at least monthly grocery shopping, whether you go to Costco or whatever, buy in bulk. You have to be prepared to spend the money. You also have to be prepared to spend the time in yourself. And it's a long-term investment. 6 months is a long time. And if 2 months goes by and you're doing good or whatever, and then you just fall off the wagon, you have to be that type of person to just get yourself up. And if you're not that type of person to do it yourself, you have to be that type of person to ask for help, whether from you guys or the community, because we will be there to help you. But that's the main thing I would say. Not as only the financial obligation, but you have to have the mental obligation to be accountable to yourself. Because if you're not a strong-willed person that will not want to get up at 7 a.m. to go to the gym or just to go to the gym at all, you're not going to have the results that you want.
Dude, I fucking love that. Just plain and simple, saying it how it is.
I won't beat around the bush. It's true.
Yeah, no, 100%. You got to do what it takes.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And then any last second words of wisdom that you want to leave anyone off here that's listening in today?
Yeah, I would just say, if you choose to go through this program, it's a great program. And again, not only that the coaches are there for you, the community is there for you. And I'll be honest, I'm not active in the chats or whatever, but even just seeing videos, even just seeing recipes of different things is educating me every day. If you yearn to be educated about food and have a different relationship with food and your body, it's a no-brainer. And no amount of money in the world can trump that education, I would just say, like I said, you have to be accountable to yourself just as much as you're accountable to you guys, and I would just say it's a great investment in your body, and it's something that you'll just take on forever and you won't forget. And like I was saying, I will have this gym routine every day for the rest of my life. And just being able to work out different parts of the body is amazing. I said, why do I got to work out my legs? I don't got to work out my legs. Let me just go run on the treadmill for a half hour. I'll be good. That's, it's more than that, and so like you taught me, you said your legs are a lot stronger than you think. You have to really I didn't know that, and I learned so many different things about myself. Like I learned how to cook. I learned how to meal prep. I learned how to effectively use Tupperware and appreciate leftovers, something I never did. I hated leftovers. So that's what I would say, though, is you have to be accountable to yourself more than being accountable to you guys, the coaches. That's what I would say. But it's a great investment in yourself if you want to make that jump. That's awesome. Joe, dude, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that was amazing. Like the way you speak is freaking awesome. Everything, at least for me, was like, holy shit, this is the mic drop landing. Like, this is awesome. Cool. So I want to remind everyone watching that we are donating to St. Jude's. For each comment that you leave, we are donating $10. And for each share that this video receives, we are donating $25 with no limits to the amount of comments or shares that you can leave, up to $1,000. So thank you all for watching. We hope that you found this valuable. If you did, again, comment, like the video, heart the video, and share it. That way others can also raise money for the cause and then hear about Joe's story as well. And that's it. So we hope that this was helpful for you, and we will see you in our next video. Hope you have a good rest of the weekend. Joe, thank you again. Thank you.